And we continue through this Crop Progress Tuesday, Mark Oppold. And again, our thanks to our friends at AgroLiquid. They are in St. John's, Michigan, here each week here, and great partners to here for us here at RFD TV and Rural Radio, bringing you these markets. And again, if you're in Michigan, St. John's near East Lansing, they'd love to have you stop by, especially now with their test plots now underway and all through the season. Let's go to Chicago from St. John's, Michigan, a little bit south into Chicago. Todd Horwitz there standing by live. Todd, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Mark. How are you?
Yeah, we have a new Secretary of Agriculture. We had a live look in at his speech to the employees, family, and friends. So a day that agriculture is waiting for. Yeah. Looking at the grain trade, we've had a turnaround. Marla and I were wonder what's caused that here in the last 45 minutes. I said, well, I'll ask Todd Horwitz.
Well, you know, I think it was interesting because they were under a little bit of pressure, and suddenly they turned around.
Yeah.
Beans are still under pressure, but corn's made a nice. Last I looked on the way up here, it was up 4 cents. So, you know, we're making a good rally, but now it did hold that 360 level, which is what we're watching, right? We watch these areas where you can kind of see that support, and you expect it to at least hold. And once they hold, they'll typically rally. So the sellers tried to push them down, they couldn't. So the spring back rally, and now we're off to the races. And let's see. Again, we're looking for our first target here would be 370, 375 on our way to 380, and of course we're still looking for over $4 corn in December. So I think everything looks good there.
Very good. So there you go. But there isn't one or two specific things going on in the market here that's causing this turnaround that quick.
Not in my opinion.
Yeah.
Again, you know, somebody may want to put news to it, but I'll put that I can see it coming. You could watch the way that it wouldn't go lower, and then buyers came in because, again, I believe we're going to see buyers flowing in here, and we do have some help from the weaker dollar and some other things. So,
all right, 4 3/4 higher in corn. Let's go to soybeans, and again we see a turn there as well. Todd Horwitz joining us in Chicago. Take a look or talk about the soybean trades. You see it right now.
You know, soybeans are still a little bit under pressure, but again, remember they held that 940, that key level we were watching, and they continue to hold. So as long as that happens, I'm looking for $10 beans, and then we'll have to make a decision from there. We can get through 10. But overall, as long as 940 holds, I'm a buyer. I'm looking for a sell-offs to be a buyer. I think they look good. Again, I like the entire space. It may take some timing, and of course, it's not going to be easy, right? They're not going to stand there and say, well, we're just going straight up. They're going to make you work for it, but that's what I see.
And we have a little technical issue getting a quote here from Chicago for beans and wheat here. We want to get your thoughts, though, in the wheat trade as it turns higher. Wow, especially Minneapolis, a strength in the last half hour.
Well, I'll tell you, the wheat has been obviously a little concerning. I've been a big fan of wheat. I still am, but obviously it doesn't feel so good as it's been coming down here the last few days. Yeah. But I think we might have found a place to bounce. The key here is it's got to get back through 420 and then hold there. And then I think we can get back on the routine, which I was watching. We're going to see much higher prices.
Very good. And again, we'll try to get that corrected so we can show prices that, and you can see them as well. Todd, some of the outside factors here today, before we take a break here and taking a look at the stock market, the dollar, crude oil. What's on your radar today of those three major ones?
Well, I think I want to see. I'm watching what's going on in the dollar. We obviously had the French elections, which pushed the dollar down because of the euro. I think the dollar is going much lower. As you know, I think it's going down to the mid-90s. Oil could get a little bit of bounce here. Now, again, it's down a little bit right now, but it did hold. So I think it's got a chance to go to 48. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a bounce, in which I'd want to sell that bounce. And the actual equity markets are going to the moon right now. Obviously, Caterpillar had earnings today, had monster earnings, and the stock is up like 6%. So that's helping propel the Dow higher. I think that the Dow rally is going to be rather short-lived over the next few weeks, and I think that money is going to come out and come into the ag space as well. So I think that's what puts me in a very confident mood looking into, you know, corn, wheat, and soybeans.
Very good. Todd, we're going to take a break, and we will come back, and we'll talk livestock with you as well. Todd Horwitz, live from Chicago. It's BubbaTrading.com. Check out their website. Be right back. All right, back to Chicago. Todd Horwitz joining us live from the edge of the floor at the CME Group. Todd, again, having some issues with the CME and getting quotes to our folks, but we do know that cattle higher last look, and talk about that beef complex.
You know, I think obviously the cattle on feed report was a little bit bearish, but we didn't really get as big of a sell-off as you might have thought yesterday. So I think we're getting a little bit of a natural rally. Now, again, I still believe that cattle, both fats and feeders, are going to go lower. I think, you know, they were higher this morning. Fats were up over $1, and now they're only up 35 cents. So I think they look to go lower. Feeders were up, and now they're flat. They're down at 137.45. So I think the cattle complex, I'm looking for some selling to come in here. Now, again, longer term, I'm going to be a buyer, but we have to make up and clean up that backwardation formation that we've been into, and I think we've gone a little bit too far too fast. So I'd look for some selling, and then on a nice dip, I would look then to be coming and be a buyer again.
We'll take a look at the numbers from the cold storage report, and it's showing us percentage-wise a big pull down here in total beef, pork, and beef by itself, and total pork as well from a month ago and a year ago. So again, I would think a little friendly numbers from the cold storage report.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But remember, Mark, a lot of times markets have a way of pricing in ahead of time. So, you know, it's the old story, buy the rumor, sell the news. So if we had an idea that that was going to happen, we might have had that rally already going into there. So to me, that wouldn't change my mind today. You know what I mean? That's what I'd look for. And of course, hogs look, you know, we were a little bit early, but they look to have found a bottom and are now, at last I looked at about 70.50 up 97.5 cents. So
yeah, so that's another question here to ask here. Have we set a short-term, a near-term low in the hog complex?
I thought we set it at 71, so you can say, I can say yes. You know, again, listen, I try to get the best I can, and of course, I think we're going higher. I like it down here. I didn't think they'd get under 70, but they did, and now they've held steady, and now they've been rallying nicely since then. I look for higher prices. I look for my first target to be probably around 75 before I would look at anything else. All
right, and we'll take a look at those futures. We get those quotes back here. Todd, thanks for your time. I'm going to cover the beef and pork trade here right now, the cutouts here, but we'll visit with you again tomorrow.
Thanks, Mark. Have a great day.
Yeah, Todd Horwitz. It's Bubba Trading. BubbaTrading.com is the website. We take a look at our livestock summary going into the day here. And again, our thanks to Ed Serwin putting together numbers here. Average prices, this is last week, average prices here on these cash cattle at $131.60. And if you sold cattle last week, you kind of see where you fit in on which side of average as far as the cattle you sold. On a dress basis, the average, and this is major feedlot areas, Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, New Mexico, that Ed takes a look at. So pretty comprehensive look at cattle country. Dressed beef averaging $209.23 on the day. Now the cash hog trade lower yesterday by about 75 cents actually. 37, top of 45 in that cash trade. More trade on a daily basis, of course, carcass basis, and that market was steady to a little higher by 40 cents. Again, most of the hogs did trade on a carcass basis yesterday, and that top at $54.75. Beef cutout higher at the end of the day yesterday with that choice cutout over 218.5, 218.67 at the close of day yesterday. We'll have an update here in about an hour, and that is the highest since March 28th, since we've been over 218.5. The select cuts were higher, not near as much, 40 cents higher, 204.29. Take a look at the hog trade here. Our pork cutout, first of all, most of the arrows pointing lower on the day. We did see a bit of a jump, a higher loin trade, but overall we lost $1 in the carcass hog complex here, and over $4.50 actually in that belly trade. And then looking at the cash market and on a carcass basis, as far as hogs are concerned, our cash prices nationally, we started the day here, Christina, a national average on the carcass trade, $53.41, and an average on that cash market, $42.22. Many think we've maybe hit a bottom there as well, and we can move that cash and carcass trade higher.
Okay, we'll keep watching.
You bet.
Thank you, Mark.